welcome to day 8 of Channels Television's election coverage. We started this 8 days ago, and now we find ourselves expanding this robust coverage until Nigerians go to the rescheduled polls on Saturday. The umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, has given assurances that concrete steps are being taken to ensure that the rescheduled elections go on as scheduled. Today, we examine how far INEC has gone with those plans. I'm Ladi Akiridoluale. Welcome.
And I'm Ijoma Onyato. And as we await the rescheduled elections, let's not forget that Nigeria is hitting a milestone. It's 20 years since the country began enjoying its longest streak of democracy. So, as we head to the polls again, the idea is for you to participate, to report as much of the process as you can. And Channels Television will tell you how. So help us get an idea of PVC collection success by taking a picture with your PVC, just like we've been seeing, Aladi. And then send it to #TheVerdict or #2019elections. Don't forget to include your name and your location so we can identify where the pictures are coming in from. And you can also send us a short video to #PollStream on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Somebody has a cap there as he's taking his picture. That's all the way from River State. So you're doing well by sending us
this
your
is from
location.
Kaduna. The number. This is much better because this allows us to have an idea of how broad the collection process has been.
That looks like a very happy customer there, you know, with this PVC.
Yeah, man, I've spent quite a while at the booth.
Is that the family picture?
Indeed.
One person per PVC?
Indeed.
Okay. And you can also be one of our citizens journalists. So if you see something, share it and then send it to us by dialing 01-440-6465. Those are the various ways that you can be part of this. Make history with us as we try our best to cover this process. Our web team is ready and waiting, as they will be throughout election season, Ladi.
Indeed, and we do expect that you will participate every step of the way with us through the various platforms that we have made available for you during this process. And it promises to be an interesting process. Quite a lot happened just today.
Yeah, I know.
Indeed, the INEC chairman started with his daily briefing today, outlining the 6 steps leading up to the election. Then, of course, one of the major parties did have its own meeting today. And the
INEC chairman has promised that this briefing will be 3 p.m. every day.
You know, so we had that. And then, of course, the president, following his meeting at the party level today met with security chiefs and then the northern governors. So it's been quite a busy
day of meetings, right?
Indeed, yes, indeed. And, well, someone who knows all about meetings and hopefully more about figures now is Shehu Okibaloye on the other side of the divide, to quote him. Shehu, tonight, what's on the menu?
Great, Ladi Ijoma. What a journey. I love the way you put it there, Ijoma. The longest streak of our democratic dispensation, the Fourth Republic. So it's an interesting one, especially those of us who are opportune and given the grace by God to witness it and participate actively, either as voters or politicians or as journalists as such as we are right here in the studio. We're making history, and we do know that this democracy must survive. Thank you so much, everyone, and welcome to this side of the divide. So much to talk about tonight. You know, sometimes on this divide, it's loads and loads of controversies. And sometimes when I get into this guy behind me here, I begin to bring out those figures that will get you talking. Tonight, let's begin by looking at again what the INEC chairman did say earlier today. I'd like you to take a listen because it will form part of our conversation as my guest already, a panel, I would say, already in our Abuja studio. But let's take a listen to what Professor Mahmoud Yakubu said in the first of what will become a daily briefing by INEC.
By 4 p.m. yesterday, all issues relating to the delivery of materials were identified and virtually addressed. Ballot papers, result sheets, and a host of non-sensitive materials are now in location across the 37 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. 2, our state offices commenced the process of inviting stakeholders to the Central Bank of Nigeria to examine the retrieved materials deployed last week and to witness the batching of materials according to local government areas. This is ongoing at the moment and is expected to be completed today, Tuesday, 19th February 2019.
There you go, you can see there, and you can see right here, this is the day all of us are looking out for. Ladi Ijoma, look at it here, Saturday the 23rd, that's the day, the rescheduled day for these presidential and national assembly. You call it the national elections. That's the day we're looking at. What does this day bring to your mind, Ladi and Ijoma?
Well, what does it bring to mind? God willing, we will all go and line up and go through the simultaneous accreditation and voting process. We can hang around because we've got to come back here, but I'm sure there are others who will be able to stay back and wait for the votes to be counted and the results to be pasted on the polling booth wall. What will you be doing, Chef?
Well, I will be here, perhaps at some point on the poll, covering elections in some part of the country. But I will be back here with this guy here just to make a sense of what.
You know, somebody said online that that's your best friend now, Sharon. That you're just enjoying, playing around.
I do like people like this because they make me really get excited. So let's get excited, everyone, shall we? So let's look at what I'm unveiling to you. What has become a race between these two faces that you all now know very much. These two men who are in the top running of the presidential race in the country. So when you're hearing about the two major parties, one speak today, the other speak tomorrow, the next meeting of the PDP was today, is today, and that of the APC was yesterday, and there were reactions to what the president said. If you look at head-to-head, look at his men. One is seeking re-election. One was a former He's a former vice president, that's 75 years, and he is 71 years old. His running mate is Professor Yemi Osinbajo. He's Peter Obi. Yemi Osinbajo, 61 years of age. Peter Obi, 51 years of age. PDP, APC. These are the guys a lot of people are talking about. There are 71 others in this race tonight. My guest will be making sense of some of these issues for us. But there are other interesting parts of this conversation tonight, which I will all want you to come into and be with me as we journey into this conversation. So if you look at it right here, you see the states are controlled by these political parties. The 36 states of the Federation controlled by these major parties. One is right here in blue. That is the ABGA, Anambra State, as controlled by ABGA, right here in the middle here. And the others are shared by the APC and the PDP. We will look at what this means altogether. If you look at it, this is how the APC presently stand, and controlling about 22 states in the Federation. And if you look at it, this is the battleground state, some of the states that you need to look out for, where these two major political parties will be looking at and how they can win the states: Lagos, Kwara, Kano, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom. I will give you an understanding of what this means and why they're going to be fighting it out. Well, this is the state that's controlled by the party of this man, Atiku Abubakar, from Adamawa State, the candidate of the PDP. This is how it looks like, how his party is controlling some of the states where they're governing right now. So if you go there, let me take you to 2015. These two major parties, the first time in a long time that we saw an incumbent party being defeated, and that was when the APC defeated the PDP. And I'll take you through some of the states that you need to watch, and I'm taking you back to 2015 and some of the figures. Ijoma and Ladi, if you go through this together, these are some of the states, and for example, I will give you reasons why you need to watch out for this state. Adamawa State, for example, that is the home state of the PDP candidate, Atiku Abubakar. In 2015, the APC won in that state with a slim margin. 374,000, that's what the APC got, while the PDP got 251,000. Well, it will be interesting how this will pan out, presently controlled by the APC government in Adamawa State. Why is Akwa Ibom State a bone of contention here? Why has it suddenly risen to a state that you must watch out, a battleground state? Look at it here. And I'll give you a sense of why this has become so important. Now, if you look at the state, look at what the APC got, 58,000 in 2015, and the PDP got a whooping 953,304. It tells you that PDP has a stronghold in this state, but one man is perhaps making a change here and making everyone think that this is going to be a tough place to fight for these two major parties. It's Senator Godswill Akpabio, who governed that state twice as governor. 8 years he reigned in that state. So that's one reason why a lot of people will believe Akwa Ibom State is a state to watch out for. What about Kano, Ijoma and Ladi? Interesting state also, having one of the highest voter population in Nigeria. But the APC won there with a large margin, be it 1,700,000 votes. That's what the APC defeated the PDP in 2015. What about Bauchi? Another state to watch out for. 931,000. That's what the APC got. 86,000. That is what the PDP got in 2015. Kaduna, you can go on and look at it. Take a picture of this and look at, digest it for yourself so you get a sense of why these states are very important. Another one that you need to watch out for is Lagos State right here, where we are right here, the commercial nerve center of the country. It was a keenly contested race. And so you see, this is where you find Babatunde Raji Fashola, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So the vice president also resides here in Lagos. So you find a lot of battle that will be here. PDP will have his eyes here. Can PDP get as much as this time around in 2019? That's a very big one. Let's go to Kwara State. Why suddenly that state that hasn't have as much voting population become so much of an attention this time around in 2019 is because the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, who's been in the PDP, went to the APC and back to the PDP. Now, can the APC get as much? Because this is what the APC got at that time, 132. So you find a lot of members of the APC now move to the PDP. What will happen in that state with the Otoge and Otoya campaign slogans in that state? Sokoto is another one to watch out for. Ogun Plateau State. If I go on and on, we might not leave here. River State, Imo State. Yeah.
I was going to stop you to say that it's good you're talking about the new political calculations going on in some of those states, Akwa Ibom, Kwara as well. So I don't know, can you really use that to say this is what is going to happen in that particular area? Or how closely should we watch them? So, bearing in mind the new calculations.
This tells you about trends. And so what does trend history tells us in politics? It tells us that something has happened in that place before. It's a landmark. Something has happened. And so it might affect what will happen in the nearest future. Might be an implication of what to expect. And that's why we're paying attention to some of these states, Ijoma. There are a lot of things that have changed over the last 2 years or so in Nigeria's politics, because we've seen a lot of movement from this party to this party, some from this party to this party. And these guys are really going to be slugging it out in the coming days. So that is the reason why some of the states that you are seeing right here and some of these men that you see right here are going to be dotting their I's and crossing their T's in the coming days. Ladi Ijoma, that's perhaps what I have for you for now. This is going to be a point of conversation for my guest, which I think I should introduce now.
Shehu, before you introduce your guest, you know, earlier, when we began, we were having this chat about the activities of the day, and a number of meetings that are taking place of the president PDP with the service chiefs, the PDP that you also alluded to earlier on. And I guess at this point in time, before you go to your guest, shouldn't you update us on that?
Absolutely. There were meetings. PDP met earlier today, like I said, and the president also had a security meeting with security chiefs. 3 governors were there, that of Kaduna State, that of Yobe, and Borno State. Those are some of the states that are affected with some kind of security challenge or the other. You remember that we reported when the governor of Kaduna State did say about 66 people were killed in the past few days in Kaduna State, which has become a major attention to the world. And so that's perhaps one of the reasons why they're discussing today. But let's take a look at what has been happening, the trends of today, which has gained a lot of attention. Yesterday, the president did say anyone who is caught trying to rig election will be dealt with. I'll remind you, because the PDP are reacting to that, and there were loads and loads of reactions. Take a listen to President Muhammadu Buhari from yesterday's APC INEC meeting.
We begin with President Buhari's meeting at the state with security chiefs and some governors. The death toll in the recent killings in Kaduna State may have risen to over 100, just as more arrests are being made. The governor of Kaduna State, Nasir Rufai, gave the hint at a media briefing shortly after a security meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. Other governors who attended the meeting alongside heads of security agencies in the country are the governors of Borno and Adamawa State.
Over 130 people were killed, not even 66. Okay? And the Fulani leaders have provided the names of all these people.
The founder of Afe Babalola University has condemned a statement attributed to President Muhammadu Buhari asking the police and soldiers to be ruthless with ballot material snatchers. The legal icon described the president's statement as shocking, ill-advised, unlawful and undemocratic. He also faulted the postponement of last Saturday's election as inexcusable for the electoral umpire and frustrating to citizens as he calls for a thorough review of Nigeria's electoral system.
I blame those who are his advisors. They should prepare speeches for him.
The appeal court sitting in Ilorin has upturned an earlier judgment of the Kwara State High Court over the Authentic State Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress in the state. In his judgment, Justice Ibrahim Saulawa ruled that the lower court has no jurisdiction in entertaining the case in the first instance, as matters relating to the Independent National Electoral Commission cannot be heard by a state high court. The court also recognized the Bashir Bolarinwa-led executive committee as the authentic APC executive in Kwara State as against the Ishola Balogun Fulani faction recognized by the lower court.
Now the main appeal today, this court, the Court of Appeal, having delivered that judgment.
And we have appealed against the interlocutory judgment.
And Nigerians continue to express diverse reactions to the postponement of the February 16 presidential and National Assembly elections by INEC. The former vice president of Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, describes the announcement of the postponement just 6 hours to election as a gross incompetence and insensitivity on the part of INEC, as well as an insult to Nigerians who had anticipated to participate in the process of choosing their next leaders.
What has happened so far underscores gross incompetence and above all insensitivity on the part of INEC.
The Independent National Electoral Commission in Plateau State has received additional sensitive materials for the presidential and National Assembly elections scheduled for this Saturday, even as the earlier transported materials have been returned to the Central Bank in Jos. President Electoral Commissioner for Plateau State, Halilu Pai, while addressing party agents and stakeholders at the sorting of the sensitive materials in Jos, explained that ballot papers and result sheets for the Central and North Senatorial districts of the state have been received and deposited at the Jos branch of the Central Bank for scrutiny and confirmation by security personnel and party agents.
Welcome back, everyone. I was going to drive you through the conversation, but my director thought it very good to take you through some of the stories making the rounds around the country. That was very ingenious. Thank you so much there. So you look at this men, which are going to make part of the conversation tonight on the program. I will tell you about this. To win Nigeria's presidency, you need to look at this and make a sense of this. The candidates must have the highest number of votes cast at the election That is not all. Must also have not less than 1/4 of the votes cast at the election in each of at least 2/3 of all the states in the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. So it brings you to the fact that all of these figures that I've been talking about earlier on, what does this mean altogether? When Ijoma asked me, what does this all mean? It all then means that the control of the state in terms of how many each of these political parties can have is not only for you to have the total highest number of votes, but you also must have a certain number of votes across this state to become the president. The law is very explicit on what will happen if you don't have the spread, even if you have the highest number of votes. So it's not a straitjacket thing for one person to emerge. No, that's not the idea. You must have the spread. But we'll talk about it. I'll introduce my guest when we return from this break, everyone. Stay with us.